Over the course of a month, 6 students from New College participated in an experimental archaeology project that involved learning how to build a tool highly utilized for thousands of years, the Atlatl.
The atlatl is actually a very simple tool in essence. It's a stick with a hook in it that allows one to really propel a spear or dart very quickly and with a much greater force. And we find atlatls archaeologically in many places around the world. The term itself comes from Mesoamerica and has just become a Pan-American term for the Native American technology. And it's found among all sorts of societies because it's a really effective aid in using spears and darts.
Students were asked to complete readings and watch videos on how to build atlatls, how to throw atlatls, and the social impacts of the tool in ancient North America.
They fit in with changes in societies, that there's a relationship to how they get used, why they get used, those who are really good at using them, and developing social inequalities. And there's some really interesting scholarly debates about whether egalitarian people use them or people living in stratified societies. And I think it's just a really important issue to kind of open up, explore, and one of the most productive lines of questions seem to be about gender. Because it does seem like women can use these things more effectively than men in the most general of terms.
The first task for the students was to find the wood that they would carve into an atlatl. Some students purchased wood. Many scavenged around campus for both fallen branches and fresh ones to cut, and one student even brought in part of their Christmas tree to whittle. Students were allowed to use more modern tools like whittling knives, pocket knives, and sandpaper. Others experimented using shells and rocks to gauge the effectiveness of indigenous tools.
I'm an archaeological illustrator in training, and I'm suffering. The drawings, I'm going to be doing 2 of them. There's going to be basic standard practice. You have a profile, you have an above shot, and then you have a cross section. That's pretty standard practice. I use basic mechanical pencil, like when people tell you, you got to get like a super high professional quality pencil. With super detailed work, just use a mechanical pencil. You get precision, it's fine, it's cheap, it works. And I'm not entirely sure whether or not I'm going to be using line shading or stipple shading. Depending, I'm going to have to do a little bit more research because there is a semi-standardized way of doing it in archaeological illustration, but it's not that standardized. So I'm going to do a little bit more research later today and try to figure out which is which I'm going to go for, and then I'll work on that for a while. What's a funny little anecdote is that because it's so small, is that there's actually intentionally very little literature and instruction on how to do it. Like, I think there are only 5 or so textbooks in existence that talk about like standardized practices and methods that I actually teach you, and that is by design. The illustrators, they want to keep being employed, so they kind of keep the market small.
During the pre-Columbian period before Europeans came to the Americas, we know it was used in really ancient days. It was used concurrent with bows and arrows, and its use continues on to the present. But there may be more atlatls today than ever before.
Through the month, they were also asked to reflect on their experiences learning through experimental archaeology.
Okay, well, for the experimental part of my Atlatl project, I was going to practice kind of fishing with the dart because that was a major application, and it continued to be into modern times, especially in the Arctic. Unfortunately, I didn't think to turn the spear into a harpoon, and on the first shot I missed, and the current started to take the spear, and so I had to go out farther than I had expected and get it, but my shoes got lost in the mud and I cut my feet on broken glass, and so that happens.
you start realizing there's actually a lot of knowledge that goes into making these things, that they're all very social, that you learn by talking to other people, sharing what you have, and that actually gets people in this mode of what was life like in different eras and for different social relationships. And so the experimental archaeology is a wonderful way to empower students and to really deepen the knowledge and produce things where they can teach others in lots of different modes.